Hello guys and welcome to What the Click episode number 53. My name is Adam Lobo.
And I'm Vernon. Great to be back.
So, today is extra special and it makes both of us and a lot of people within the team very happy because of the fact that finally we have this in our very own channel, which is the What the Click podcast, which is available on YouTube. So in case you haven't subscribed yet, currently, as of the recording of this video, we are at 10 subscribers. Yay. And it is our very first side conquest on getting another brand new channel. So in case you guys are watching this because of the algorithm brought you over here, it's a podcast channel where we talk about what clicks and specifically about the topic of tech. And we are your hosts where we'll be talking throughout the whole entire time as well. On top of our podcast, we also have the audio version of this, which is available on every single platform that you can find on any audio podcast, including the annoying app called Spotify. So you can actually go and check it out as well. And of course, we are also available on YouTube, both on our main channel and also right now on our very own channel. And our amazing teammate, Jefferson, is also cutting this segment into smaller clips for you to get bite-sized clips as well. It will be on this new channel as well moving forward. So yes, please do subscribe. This is something that I guess we will start saying in the future in order for you all to actually subscribe to us. But another thing that is also very exciting is this week's things that we need to talk about. We do have the vivo X300 Ultra camera reactions. I could have done this so much earlier, but the reason why I didn't do it earlier is because of embargo. You know how it is. So we will be talking about that because our in-depth camera review of the vivo X300 Ultra after shooting over 10,000 photos and videos, we'll be having that. If you're watching this on a Saturday, that review will be up on our main channel tomorrow on Adam Lobo TV. And we'll be also talking about the rumored Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8 Wide. Yes. And also a very interesting, amazing way of Apple stepping forward with Apple Tap to Pay. So those are the things. And of course, we have the Who Asked For This, which we won't talk about until we go into... Yes. Oh yeah, it is. It's a winner. If you want to know what exactly we mean, I know currently it sounds like a inside story, but we will get into that. Now, first things first, just to let you all know, the vivo X300 Ultra is launched in China in March 30th. I was there all the way in Yunnan, which is Lijiang, Yunnan. A very beautiful place in case you haven't been to Lijiang or Yunnan. If you like that feels of a New Zealand feels, every point where you can take pictures, this would be a very beautiful place. Food is good, but most importantly is like it's a one-place destination for people to do wedding photos.
Right.
Perfect when it comes to taking photos on a smartphone camera. Now, I like how you put here as Vivo's Thanos of camera phones. Can you tell us why do you call it that before I talk into the details?
Number one, it's got a big ass sensor. It's got this new Sony LYT901.
Yes, you can literally hear. No, you can literally hear the sensor, the OIS, right? Yeah.
It's also got a massive 200 megapixel Samsung periscope telephoto.
Yeah.
And I think some of you have already seen samples of photos online, videos online. They're amazing.
Yeah.
But of course, we want to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Yes.
Who has been shooting a lot of...
Horses too? I did shot some.
Yeah, you did.
I did
actually shoot a horse. Okay,
not shoot the fella, but use the phone to shoot. Very first important thing is that I like how Abang Vernon went into the megapixel count because compared to the Pro variant of the vivo X300, this currently has 200 megapixel both on the main and the periscope.
And the telephoto,
Like the vivo X300. The non-Pro had 200 megapixel on the main, but not on the periscope. And then the Pro had 200 megapixel on the periscope, not the main. So now they decided with the Ultra, they're going to have 200 megapixel all the way. And no matter what anyone says, a larger sensor always means a better choice. Whether or not you want to use the 200 megapixel mode is a whole separate story. So first things first, it is still the fact that Vivo phones, especially the X series, has always been the best smartphone when it comes to portrait photos. And the thing that I've always seen a huge improvement is that not only it gives you a very nice shallow depth of field, but one of the best things is that they get the amount of details perfectly. Like we're talking about, if you take a picture of a person who has long hair, whether it's a female or a male, it does not matter. The amount of separation that you can see, like even like one little strands of hair. Speaking of taking photos of a horse, that is one of the things which I did. You know how a horse has like the mane and all, and it's so amazing how that is actually done. There's this, I think is a who asked for this moment. Vivo is probably the first one to came up with a 14mm portrait mode.
14mm.
I don't know who asked for this.
It's a bit strange
because 40mm is already super wide,
and there's a lot of distortion.
Yeah, so so the good news is that there's no barrel distortion, which is great, but they did kind of like achieve the subject to background blur, even though with such a wide form factor.
But I mean, it's computational.
It is.
But the question is why though?
Yeah.
Why would you want such a wide?
So this comes down to what you said, like who asked for this, but it's good that is there because it's not on the Pro, something which you all need to know. And currently, they have a new release of the lens extender. It's a 400mm. The previous one was a 200mm on the Pro. So they have a 400mm.
Zoom. Wow.
So two things I need to mention about this. Number one, if you are wondering, because I didn't mention in my review tomorrow, if you watch it on the main channel, is the fact that you can have the previous lens to work on the Ultra. So if you already have the previous lens extender, you can put it on the new Ultra.
So the 200mm will fit.
However, backwards compatible, not yet. But according to Vivo, and I trust their words, they said it will be happening too. So which means that you can still buy the 400mm extender and put it into the Pro. It will recognize it later on with a software update. Another very important thing to know is that I was waiting for Oppo to release their own extender. Oppo's extender is 300mm. And I don't like the fact that it's 300mm because it's just 100mm difference. As a person who shoots videos, and I'm sure Mo can also attest to this, is that if you want to jump from one lens to another lens, you don't want to go from 100 and just go with 100 jump. Otherwise, because it's all about you standing closer.
Yeah.
So I like Vivo's approach of going from 200 to 400 as opposed to going from 200 to just 300. So that is the main differences between the Oppo ones. And if you watched our review of the comparison, the Oppo lens does not work on the Vivo.
Yeah, because the threads
are totally different. But you know, like some people may be asking the question. The meaningful improvements which I saw in photography mode, and this is something which I definitely need to tell people. Vivo has this thing called the Blue Talk, right? Nothing to do with Chelsea. Sorry, Abang.
I don't want anything to do with Chelsea either at the moment.
Whereby they get a bunch of creators from every region, and they have this session whereby they gather all of us in a room, and then we sit down there, and our job is to give feedback.
I thought you were going to have mala noodles.
No. By the way, China mala is million times better than Malaysia, just so you all know, because it's flavorful. Anyway, this Blue Talk is where we all sit together and then we give our feedback. Now, there are two feedbacks which was given. One feedback came from another creator. I forgot who was he. He said that there's this street photography mode. Previously on the Pro, you really need to dive deeper into the settings and go through like now. And his feedback was that he told Vivo, why don't you just put it in the camera app? And lo and behold,
as a preset.
Exactly. No, meaning like easy to access. So now when you change, you go all the way back, the street photography is a feature. So I was like, wow, Vivo really takes feedback seriously. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Then,
so what does street photography do?
It gives you a similar look.
ISO, higher shutter speed.
No, it gives you that Fujifilm moody look.
Oh, so it's more like almost like a filter thing?
Yes, it is. It's more of a filter. It's focal length, everything is the same. Okay. So it runs away from, it makes you have those street look without you playing with the filters and the colors so much. You just take a photo and then you're sorted. That's one. Speaking on the blue talk, another thing which I think I'll take credit for this is that I always had this issue with Vivo phones overexposing the skies at night. Where you take the phone, this was on the Pro, yeah? You take the phone, you put it towards the sky, and it tries to brighten everything like it's during the day. Like dark skies becomes blue, and I always had to touch the screen and bring down the exposure value. Now, next thing I knew on the Ultra, there is...
Didn't do it anymore.
At the moment I look at the sky, it is just nice, which means that hopefully I'll take credit for that because they actually listen to me. So that is the biggest thing that you all need to know, is that taking photos at night on the Ultra is definitely a huge improvement over the X300 Pro and also the X200 series as well.
Yeah, I think some phones actually tend to over-process.
Yeah, Samsung's nightography used to also do that, but right now they don't. They have gotten a very nice balance. Right. I still think that the nightography, the night side of pixels does that too much. You know how it is. I still believe that when it comes to night photography, on getting the best image and getting nicer shadows and highlights, I still give my vote towards the Xiaomi 17 Ultra. But at this point in time, I already see a huge improvement, especially for the ultra-wide lenses. We talked about the street photography mode. Another thing is, of course, zoom consistency. Another very important fact to know is that originally, what's funny and interesting is that when I tried zoom in on the Ultra, the max zoom is 70 times zoom. But when I try to zoom in on the Pro, max zoom is 100 times zoom. So I'm like, what's happening? Like, why is that such thing? Okay. The reason why is because both phones interpret the focal length differently. So just say it is like 2000 mm. So even though it's 70 times zoom, but the mm value is about 12 mm difference between the Pro and the Ultra. Yeah. So it's not like it doesn't have 100 times zoom. It's just that it looks at zoom differently. So the focal length is different. And in a lack of a better term, the Pro versus Ultra, we did a comparison reel, which is doing very well on YouTube Shorts and also Instagram. And the general consensus that people has been saying is that why does the Pro look better? It's not like
better in terms of
colors.
Oh, colors. Okay. So
but here's the thing.
So the color science.
Yeah, they say the colors look better, but if you really compare side by side, it's not the colors look better. The Ultra has less saturated color. So in lack of a better explanation, it's like Leica Vibrant and Leica Authentic on the Xiaomi phones.
Prefer vibrancy over...
Especially when it comes to social media. So I think the Ultra is definitely catered a bit more for professional photographers. And I like the natural look because especially when you're going for taking shots of a lot of vibrant stuff, right? You, instead of you dialing back the saturation, you actually have this authentic looking photos as well. Another thing which the Vivo clan or the Vivo team was really emphasizing on is the video performance because they've always known to be the greatest when it comes to their photography. We know I've used the vivo X200 for wedding photography. My wife actually took photos with her cousin's wedding and it turned out great. They even like printed out. I remember the wow factor when me and Mo were shooting portrait shots near his house downstairs. It was like, what the hell? Yeah, remember Mo, we shot that eye photo, the super macro of my eye. Yeah. So that is something whereby they've been doing very well when it comes to photos. But the video performance is something which is also a massive improvement. They do have their APB log codec similar to the S26 Ultra. The S26 Ultra was the first one to introduce it. So right now it seems like the other Android markets are slowly chasing it. But the biggest thing for me is the new video app. So there's a Pro video app which looks exactly like the Blackmagic camera app. If you go into the camera app,
dedicated video app.
Yeah, so if you go into the camera app and you go to the video here, right? You go to video, there is a Pro toggle here. I'm sure you can't see because it's very far. And when you click here, it looks exactly like the Blackmagic camera app. So you don't need to download a separate app. which is
Filmic Pro,
good.
Chief.
Yeah,
Filmic Pro.
or Filmic Pro. And what's
Which is
good
dead.
is that it gives you the option of the frame rate, the ISO, everything. It really, it is exactly like the Blackmagic camera app, which is good, which means that you don't need to download a separate app, right? Number one. Number two, you get log recording here. But the caveat is that there's no log recording for 8K compared to Samsung phones. Samsung phones have 8K recording when it comes to log as well, yeah? So that would be one of the caveat. The other thing is the fact that I think it's a software feature, but daytime selfie, when it comes to backlight, it makes your skin tone looks not the best in the world. It makes it looks a bit dull, quite zombie-ish.
Okay.
Probably because, again, when I tested the phone was my first ever software update. So I believe a software update could save that. And of course, the zoom interpretation, which I mentioned, it can be a bit confusing for people who owns the Pro. But I don't think that this phone is catered for the Pros. I think this phone is catered for people is maybe moving from the X200
And
to
also,
the...
how often do people actually zoom 100x?
Yeah.
They don't, right?
Yeah.
Not even 70x, to be honest.
I didn't bother. Actually, you got a super good point over there.
I don't even go beyond maybe 10.
Yeah. So before we go into the discussion angles, that is my in-depth camera review per se that is coming up tomorrow. If you guys are watching this on our What the Click podcast channel, it is coming on our main channel, which is our in-depth camera review of that. But yeah, I'm just going to go into what's not so good, similar to just talk about the potential deal breakers, is the fact that recording 8K video more than 5 minutes can definitely cause a significant amount of heat.
Is that even a surprise?
It is. It
Because
is
it takes a lot of processing. And,
it is a surprise
it does
if you
take a
start
lot of-
comparing with other flagships, right? But at the same time, even though when I say other flagship, I think there's only one, which is Samsung, right? Samsung, you can record 8K logs so perfectly. The device never heated, although I was testing it in a colder environment. But when I went to London, I shot 8K. I came back to Malaysia, I shot 8K. But then again, how many people actually shoot in 8K? That's a question
I
you need
guess
to ask.
if this is targeted to maybe a little bit more of the prosumer
Yeah.
level or even professional
Yeah.
videographers who might be using this phone,
Yep.
then it's a problem.
Good point.
Because you're not
Yeah.
able to shoot 8K for a long period of time, which
Yeah.
is
Correct.
Which is quite.
I mean, because we
friction.
all know the benefits of shooting high resolution anyway. Like we shoot
Yeah.
6K, sometimes
and then you
even
downsample
8K,
it.
downsample it and then you can play around in post. So this would be probably a deal breaker. Not a huge majority of people, but I believe that this is something that you all should consider. So talk about the discussion angles that you feel based on this particular Ultra variant.
I feel that I haven't really played with it, but I feel that it might be a little bit luggable. It feels a little bit heavy. And this is even before you put on any lens or case or and stuff like that, attachments to it.
Okay.
Is this something that consumer would accept, as in being this hefty?
Okay.
Although performance-wise, as a camera and all that stuff, it's a really good piece of equipment.
Yeah.
What
What
do
are
you
your thoughts about that first?
I think it is a little bit heavy.
Okay.
Yeah, it does feel a little bit heavy, but I mean, there's a solid feel to it. For me, I don't think it's too much of an issue personally,
Yeah.
because even our little big devices are quite heavy as well.
Yeah.
In general,
Yeah.
in general nowadays.
Correct. So just comparing this, I mean, because I didn't bring up the Pro, this is an iPhone 17 Pro Max, so you can kind of tell.
They're about the same.
Yeah. Okay.
Say what, 200-ish?
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember the exact specs. But my opinion about the whole idea of whether this is too heavy to lug around, it beats lugging around a Sony camera, right?
It's true.
That's one. Number
That's true.
two, I think the Xiaomis, the Oppos of the world are already going with this kind of form factor anyway. So I think it is a norm now to actually carry a bigger device, knowing the fact that you're actually holding a very good piece of hardware. And yes, it is an extra thing to bring the lens and all, but at least you have that sort of amazing video quality. And when you see the video, you can see that not only when it comes to photos is perfect. I was really shocked at how well it caught the focus at 400 mm, and even the stabilization, because you all know that, you know, the further the lens goes, the
Yeah.
stabilization is going to be madness.
Every little
yes,
shake is
exactly.
going to-
But it was so good to a point whereby, like, I don't mind carrying this extra weight, because when I had the Pro, without even knowing that the Ultra is going to be even released, occasionally when I used to go out on a weekend, I used to bring the Pro with the lens on a separate pocket. Like just put it there because it comes with a case. Now speaking of the case, we do not have the current new case and also the lens with us, but we did do like a shot. So I do have all the samples as well. And the main difference between the case and the new one and the older one or the Pro version, not older as technically is not old, is that there's a kickstand, but for the Ultra there's no kickstand, and it comes in a more like a solid silver-ish kind of color. But yeah, so in case you guys are wanting to see that whole entire in-depth review, be sure to check out at our main channel adamlobo.tv for you to see that in-depth camera review. Trust me, you're going to love it because I took tons of photos. I took photos in a combination both in Yunnan, Lijiang, and also in Malaysia, because while we all know that smartphone cameras does a damn good job during the day, I wanted to take some night shots. So when I came back to Malaysia, I took a lot of night shots, taking photos directly to a neon sign, taking photos at the bulb to see whether or not there's any like lens flare, lens glare and stuff like that. All of those have been tested specifically as well. Okay, so that would be for our more in-depth of the upcoming video, and of course the hands-on of the vivo X300 Ultra. Stay tuned for our in-depth review using this phone daily. That is coming up later on as well. The next topic that we're going to be talking about is the rumored Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8 Wide. Talk to us about that.
It's quite a mouthful. I hope that's not the official name.
What do you think the official name is going to be then?
I don't like the word wide in the name.
It should be now that you mention about
maybe
it.
It's Galaxy Z Fold Ultra. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Why not, right?
Yeah. Oh,
why not?
Yeah, because they already have Ultra in their Ultra phones. Yeah, I never thought of that. Yeah, I never thought of that about how it doesn't sound good. Now that you mention it, yeah, wide is weird.
So anyway, this piece of news, it also comes fresh from as a direct response to Huawei's Pura X Max, which we talked about, I think, last week.
Yeah.
Which I felt, and I think Adam shares the same sentiment, that we feel that the 4x3 passport form factor is the right form factor for the right ratio for a foldable.
Yeah.
Simply because it opens like an actual kind of like a tablet when it opens up, and so Samsung is reportedly splitting the Fold lineup into two. So they're going to have the standard Fold, as we've seen the Fold 7. So the Fold 8 is going to be very similar, slightly tall, but also going to have a wide format 4x3 called the Wide. And they are going to purportedly launch this July 22nd at the Unpacked event. Hopefully we'll be there.
Yes, hopefully.
You, not me.
Especially since it's London, and you all know how much I love London.
Yeah. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a specs breakdown of the Wide. So it's going to have a 7.6-inch dynamic AMOLED in a 4x3 ratio. And the cover display is going to be a 5.4 compared to a 6.5 on the standard Fold.
The standard. Now, it's funny how we're calling it standard Fold now.
Standard.
What's up?
So they'll share similar, I guess, chipset.
Yep.
The Snapdragon 8 Elite 5, which is obvious.
Yeah.
That's going to run that, not an Exynos.
Made for Galaxy.
Made for Galaxy.
Yeah.
Main camera. There's a little bit of difference.
Oh, okay.
200 megapixels on the standard with a 1:3 sensor, but on the 200 megapixels is just a standard one.
Okay.
So it's a smaller sensor. Okay. Rear cameras is only going to be a dual on the Wide.
Okay.
But obviously you know that the Z Fold 8 is going to have a triple camera setup, just like the Z Fold 7. 200 megapixel, 50 megapixel ultra wide, and a 10 megapixel, telephoto. Battery wise, quite similar. Rumored to be 4,009 to 5,000 milliampere.
Yep.
Compared to the standard, which is 5,000. And in terms of charging, 45 watt wired and also 15 watt wireless.
Yep.
Pretty much the same. So both will run One UI 9. In terms of pricing, it's a bit of a debate. apparently it's going to be slightly cheaper than the standard.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know about this. The estimated price for US is 1,999 for the standard, and the white is going to be rumored to be 1,799 to 1,899.
Fantastic. I like how, okay, so in case you guys want to see a head-to-head comparison, Vernon has done the article at adamlobo.tv. Be sure to check it out as well. You just type adamlobo.tv. You can see there's a very nice table of comparison there. You can see it for yourself. I like how you wrote here tailored wide layouts.
Yes.
I have full confidence that Samsung is going to do this better than any Android foldable because you know how well they implemented One UI into the foldable.
Yeah.
So I am very excited with this. Before you go further, I want to find out what are your thoughts about the so-called standard fold. Do you think that by releasing this wide format of this brand new fold, that it will eventually kill the previous fold?
That's a very good question. I cannot speak for the general consumer out there, but I feel there is a segment that actually likes the tall form factor.
Okay.
Because I think it fits better in the pocket.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it fits better because it's slim. And if you use primarily, if you 80% of the time you're using it as a candy bar, it's kind of nice in the hand.
Yeah, it's slightly smaller.
For single-handed use, I think it's easier.
Yeah.
However, as you know, my sentiments about the white, because I've always felt that the 4:3 ratio is the perfect ratio.
I never had an issue with it. Like, even when the first ever Z Fold came out, I was like, yeah, I like the idea. But when you start seeing the wide side by side, that's when you go like, yeah, it's the make sense moment, right? So that's one of the reasons why I feel like we should do a video about why the wide form factor is the future.
I think you should.
Yeah, because I feel like it makes sense in so many ways. And you can count on Samsung, even though not being the first technically, because Huawei has done it first. But we all know, same like when it comes to Apple devices, they might be a bit late in the game because of the amount of manufacturing that they have to do, the Samsungs and the Apples of the world, but they always do better. That's why things like Dub always excite me, because in the end of the day, if you have a very good hardware, but you cannot have a very good software supporting it, and that has been one of the biggest selling factor of Samsung phones. And if I had to put my money on every single Android skin out there to do best when it comes to different kinds of form factors, 4x3, 1x1, 16x9,
1x1,
I would say that Samsung is going to do a very good job over there. Talk to us about the crease, because in CES, Samsung were the one who actually introduced the zero crease technology.
Yes.
Something that did not really bother me, but something that did bother the likes of people like Mo, who told me that he cannot unsee it. For me, it's something whereby I saw it, I'm like, I can live with it, because I did daily drive a Fold for the longest time. So what are your thoughts about whether this zero crease technology will be coming to the wide and the standard, or is only be coming into the wide and not the standard?
Or it doesn't come out at all, like appears on the iPhone Fold.
Right? Oh my God.
I think we've talked about this crease thing a long time since we talked about foldables way back then.
Yeah.
And some people like Mo and me cannot unsee a crease once you first see it.
Okay.
However, as technology advances, as naturally as it does always, it will get better. And it has gotten better. Foldables nowadays in Generation 7 or Generation 8 have a very unnoticeable crease almost.
The latest one would be the Oppo's N series, which we haven't got our hands on it. But
really good, almost there, zero crease. But I think the Z Fold 8 and the white will probably have something very close to a zero crease. And well, it's rumored
something close to a zero crease or totally zero crease?
Well, they say zero crease, so it's almost
okay.
I guess.
Do you think that the technology is going to be better than what the Oppo Find N series releases?
Yes.
Fantastic. That's a very nice prediction.
I think so.
Okay, so talk to us about what the not so good about this thing.
So there's, as you know, the wide only has 2 cameras, and there's a reason for that, because it's thin.
Yep.
The chassis is only 4.9 millimeters.
Madness.
I don't know how they cut up the USB port, but yeah, they
They
do
cut
that.
the USB port to half.
I don't know, but they did it, and it's likely there won't be an internal S Pen slot, which I know is going to happen anyway.
You know, I'm a huge fan of S Pen.
I am too.
But here's the thing, I did realize that when I
don't
had
use it
the new
much.
S26 Ultra, I daily drive the phone, and I'm sad to say that I haven't been using the S Pen.
Because people don't write anymore; they prefer to twiddle their
I like to
thumbs.
write though, but I'm a Note fan first before I was an S series fan, and I was very bummed when the Note series was out. But at the same time, they kind of trickled it down to the S series. But I think for this particular form factor, from one end it makes sense to have an S Pen, but on the other hand,
Where do you store it?
yeah, because you can do what Oppo did though, to put it as a cover, like what even Samsung
Even
did previously.
Lenovo does
as well.
it for their tablets. And
Yes, yeah.
where it's like a case that's
Yep.
magnetic
Yeah.
on the back cover.
That's what Samsung does for the tab also.
It's
yeah.
inelegant, but
Yep.
it's an option, it's an alternative.
Yep, correct.
Alternative to having no S Pen.
Yep.
But big question is, the $1,000 question is,
Yeah.
would you trade the zoom and the S Pen for the wide form factor and the thinness?
For me, yes.
Okay.
For me, yes, because I don't need a zoom. Even when I made that video about the iPhone 17e, I did a joke about why do you actually use, it's not whether you need it, it's do you actually use a wide angle lens as much as you do? And I realized that my photos are all either telephoto or main lens. Right?
So like this doesn't have a telephoto, would that be a problem for you?
As long as a nice 200 megapixel main camera, I'm
So
happy.
you can just crop it in.
Yes, exactly. So I'm okay with that. And I think that the target market that this wide is for, they are not going to bother about that. It's same like the iPhone Air users. I still do see people daily drive an iPhone Air, and none of them have complained about having a singular camera per se. Number one, meaning you don't have that option. Number two, yes, they did complain about the battery probably, but again, it's those kind of users where you're not really worried about that.
Yeah.
So that would be for that. But yeah, I think one thing we should note here is, of course, a very interesting discussion angle. So talk to us about why you feel like this particular question should be brought to our viewers and listeners.
No, I think the question is, why did it take Samsung like 8 generations to realize that the wide form factor was something people possibly wanted? And I think they're trading very cautiously because they're launching 2 different ratios, right?
Yep.
I find it a little bit of a weird strategy. I would probably stick to just one.
Yeah.
But maybe they're testing waters, just
Correct.
like they test waters on other products.
That brings me to my question earlier, which I did ask you anyway, is that will this eventually kill the so-called standardized foldable?
I feel it's a kind of let's try and see story.
Okay.
So maybe after this, we'll know, what's the percentage of people who are actually buying the standard fold over the people who are preferring the wide.
Yeah. Okay.
Then they'll decide whether to keep it or
Then
not.
how do you answer the question of if you're representing Samsung or if you're representing the tech industry, how would you answer when people say, why did it take Samsung 8 generations then?
I guess it's to see whether people want that device or not, or that form factor or not.
Yeah.
And it's only recently, maybe with the Huawei's, that people are kind of realizing that, hey, wide is actually a nicer format.
Yeah.
And my last question to you is that we've always talked about foldables as being this device for productivity. Is productivity still the thing for people to buy a foldable? Is that the only kind of reason to really anchor that reason to get a foldable?
That's a good point. I think from my standpoint is that there's 2 things to take account here. Number one, we all know why Samsung and Apple takes their time to do certain new iterations. Number one is because of the manufacturing. Samsung and Apple are still the biggest smartphone manufacturers in the world, right? Even though their quantity is like huge in the market today. So it's every step they take. And that was one of the reasons why it's not easy for Samsung to just say, okay, I'm going to use silicon carbon battery, which is a good question, whether or not silicon carbon battery is going to be on this brand new wide form factor.
It's not mentioned. It's
yes,
not in the
exactly.
specs,
so that is something we can.
know.
Also, second of all, I like how you said about testing
think so,
waters. I like how you said about testing waters, because is the Edge a testing waters device? Right?
For me, it was.
Yeah. So that could be that. But all of these things mentioned only make sense if there is a wider version of the phone, because again, we are talking about this based on the rumors. And I think not to discount the rumors, but usually when things are shown online on the internet, we will always have to take with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
But I have a very strong feeling this is it. And the whole creaseless thing is definitely a yes, because of the fact that it was unveiled in CES as well. So I think that would be great. But yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comment section below on what you think about this particular form factor. Is this the way to move forward with? All right, the second topic that we're going to be talking about is Apple's brand new Tap to Play. Give us a lowdown on that, Abang.
Yeah, so Apple, it's a little bit of a surprise, to be honest, for me.
Yeah.
Apple introduced Tap to Pay for iPhone specifically, and in Malaysia. So as you know, it coincides with this release of, not release, but Apple did talk about Apple Business.
Yeah.
Just a couple of weeks ago, maybe. So it's like kind of a good timing. So Tap to Pay on iPhone is an important piece of news, I think, for merchants and also for business owners. If you own a stall, from whether you're running the Apple Store in TRX or you're in the Pasar Malam doing, selling nasi lemak, it will apply to you if you have a POS system.
Yes, correct.
Okay. So this is important because Tap to Pay will enable iPhones to be a POS terminal.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so you don't need a separate POS terminal to make payments.
Yeah, because I've never been a fan of these POS terminals because of how the connection with the POS terminals has been quite a pain in the butt. There have been several situations, and I'm sure all of you all can actually attest to this, is whereby like you pay and then they take the thing and say, sorry, internet not good. And then they go and do a Lion King to make sure to get the internet connection. And I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
Sometimes they also plug in the cable.
Yeah, they plug in.
Okay, try now.
Yeah.
Okay, do this. Okay.
And when you have an iPhone to do this, it's a phone which has one of the best antennas on planet Earth. So imagine you're not going through that so-called connection issue, which has been the bane of my existence in the first place. First of all, a POS looks freaking ugly. It looks like a weapon. You're going to take someone and hit someone with it. And also, I think one of the things that the general consensus is the fact that people are probably looking at it and say, oh, why is Apple late in this? We already have QR payments and most people are using QRs and all. So how would you answer to that?
To be honest, it's not a replacement for QR payments and other stuff. It's really to encapsulate everything that payment methods that are out there. From your MasterCards, for your credit cards to your debit cards, to QR payment, everything can be used on an iPhone with Apple Tap to Pay.
Fantastic.
Which is good. Of course, the condition is you need to already have a POS service provider, whether it's Stripe or HitPay or whoever else. And they are supporting several in Malaysia. And I'll just give you a bit of a list here. Adaptis, FIU, which was formerly Razer FinTech.
Yes.
I'm sure you're familiar with that. HitPay, Stripe, and also Zoho. And Apple has said that they're confirming that Apple, the Exchange TRX, the Apple Store, will be implementing this in their checkout soon.
Fantastic.
So you're not going to have to go to the counter and pay or via a POS credit card machine. They'll bring an iPhone to you and you just tap your card, whatever. So this technology is, it's available. It's NFC technology of your card, of your phone, and uses a secure element as well.
And one of the things that everybody also need to know about this particular thing is the fact that it's mainly catered towards the sellers, right? For the business owners and stuff.
Yeah, I
so
think benefits
because
both, yeah.
when this
Mostly
news
for the
was
merchants.
out, when I shared this news on my Instagram stories, a lot of people was like, "Oh, what's going to happen to Apple Pay?" So you need to understand that Apple Pay is here to stay. That rhymed. But
Apple
the
Pay is
difference,
here to stay,
but the
yes.
difference is that this new introduction just replaces the so-called that POS terminal thingy. Number one. Number two, it's catered more for business owners. So I saw that Attilia came up with a very cute way of explaining it, which Attilia, huge shout out to you because you're a very, very interesting way of doing stuff. So yeah, she actually, because she runs her own yoga studio, and she was actually talking about how she don't have to use this anymore. She can use an iPhone, which is a very good example. So in case you are wondering what's the difference between this and that, Apple Pay is here to stay, like I said, but this is a bit more catered for the business owners per se. Let's talk about what are the things that people need to think about right now with this particular existence, Abang.
So there is a condition. Of course, iPhones are supported, but to use Apple Tap to Pay for merchants,
Okay.
they will need to have at least an iPhone 11.
Okay, we are at 17
above.
now, so which means like 6 iterations.
11
which
is really
still,
old, but
Okay.
it supports all the way up to iPhone 11 because of an NFC chip.
Okay.
Because if you don't have an NFC chip, you can't use
Kind
it.
of makes sense.
I guess the good thing about it, you explaining about Apple Pay is for consumers to make payment without cards.
Yep.
With their iPhones and also Apple Watches. But for Tap to Pay on iPhone is really for merchants to benefit.
Yep.
And they'll be able to accept all physical contactless payment, all the different cards,
Yep.
including American Express as well. That still exists, yes.
Yes, it does.
My Debit. So it's the first one that uses the local chain,
Nice.
meaning all debit cards are supported in Malaysia.
Okay. So will this finally kill off the cash-only signs at our favorite food stalls? Although nowadays it's so much improved, but for me, I will answer first. Although I'm going to ask you, I am not a fan of the QR Pay. I still feel because I feel it's slow. Okay. Apple Pay, tap, Kautim.
Okay.
QR, open the phone, open the app.
So you're comparing QR Pay with Apple Pay and not cash.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it. But also cash lah, because I don't carry cash. Both lah. I just feel like doing Apple Pay or any like TATE method is so much faster than QR. And at the same time, the QR need to be clear. And when you do it, you need to show it. Hey, saya sudah transfer. I am not a fan of QR Pay. And I'm not a fan of QR menus in restaurants.
I feel there's a reason for QR Pay because that is like the lowest hanging fruit you could implement for payment for everyone.
For new business owners as well.
Yes, for everyone, not just new business owners. A POS would have costs involved. You got monthly payment, maybe service fees. You got to get hardware and stuff like that. But for QR Pay is like lowest hanging fruit. You can just scan a QR code, printed, and on your desk, and you can already accept payment.
Why did you ask me about the cash thing? Do you still prefer paying cash?
I thought you were comparing cash and QR payment because sometimes cash is faster. Just take it out from your wallet and sit. And QR Pay you gotta scan and fire up a mobile app and stuff like that. But yeah, I actually agree with you on Apple Pay and versus the QR Pay.
Yep.
Because of the speed of things.
Yep.
But yeah, that's where we are. I think options are good.
Yep.
When you have choice, that's good for us.
Correct.
We can use whatever. When QR Pay is down, we can use a card.
Yeah.
You can pay cash. You can use Apple Pay. So that's great. I think one of the questions that we get is that, is there going to be transaction limits?
Oh.
Just like when you're using a My Debit card. And the answer is yes, depending on the provider.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Because if you're using a debit card as well, it's going to have a limit to it. $250 as you know.
Okay.
And you'll need to enter your PIN.
Yes, correct. Got it.
So it's going to work the same way.
All right. Yeah. Nice. Very good. Okay. For your segment of Who Asked for This? This is like, I don't know how to react to this, but please tell everybody about it.
We talked about a winner earlier in the episode, in this segment. and it is about a wiener. The question is, can you play World of Warcraft using a hot dog controller? I hope they show it up on screen.
Yeah, Leo
it's
will put
really
it up.
funny.
Yeah.
So a gamer basically has gone viral. He plays World of Warcraft, as you know. I'm sure some of you out there are playing. And using a 3D printed hot dog controller. I don't know why it's a hot dog, but I guess he likes wieners. And it's a quad wiener array where you have like 4 fingers to control movement, and the right side controls combat abilities. Okay, so.
But is this how you control? I don't play WoW.
No. It's just an input device, but he's made hot dogs as kind of the form that he's using to create it.
Oh. Okay.
It's a hilarious reminder that, human interface devices are only limited by our imagination. It can be anything you want. A mouse could be round. Well, okay, Apple made that.
Yeah, that's
a
true.
round mouse. You can have a rectangular mouse. You can have a triangle mouse.
Yeah.
You can have phones that look.
But why hot dogs?
Oddly
Though?
not
Is
like a
this
candy
fella
bar?
obsessed with hot dogs? Or?
I don't know.
Okay.
My question to him is why, bro?
Yeah, exactly.
And is this the peak of custom gaming peripherals, do you think?
No, I think because of this, a lot of people are going to come up with their own. Like probably a nasi lemak controller with sambal action triggers.
I don't know how that's going to work. But
Yeah, so...
maybe with some haptic feedback with the,
Oh yeah, that's
with the
true.
rice. I
What
don't
else crazy factor that people would come up
Okay,
with?
so what's interesting about this is that if you are interested to create your own hot dog controller, he's got some 3D printer source files,
Which is like for Bamboo Labs, all you can just
which
go and
is
get it.
available from MakerWorld. So on that side, you are just asked to give feedback on the original design.
Well, based on the pictures, it does look literally like a hot dog. But again,
It does.
Yeah, for me, it's just weird. But yeah, just imagine the different things that you can do as a Malaysian flavor. But I think because they already did this and somebody else going to do something different, when people are like, somebody already kind of did it as well. But yeah, this is quite an interesting find. How do you actually find this information?
I stumbled upon it. It's maybe I was looking for hot dogs at that time,
Or maybe you were hungry that
or
time.
maybe I was hungry. I don't know.
Okay, that's very
Hilarious.
interesting. That's very
So
interesting.
who asked for this? That's the question.
Yes, so I will ask you first. Who asked for this?
Hot dog lovers,
Wow, really?
who gamers who are hungry, I guess.
The first person that comes to my mind when it comes to first person or thing or whatever is Sonic. Sonic loves chili dogs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, chili dogs.
Okay.
So it reminds me of something that Sonic would use. But no, nobody asked for this, bro. What's wrong with you? Okay, for the community segment, at this point in time, the community segment will be on our main channel until we grow our subscriber count, because it makes most sense for us to go over there, talk about it. Every single Tuesday, Vernon will be coming out with a question, and then we'll discuss it here on the What the Click channel as well. This time around, the community segment question, Vernon has wrote a question to ask about the Passport foldable form factor or the wide form factor, because Huawei has already released, like Carl Conrad did hands-on on his Instagram. I just saw it earlier in the morning of the Pura X Max. Freaking lovely. So,
Isn't it?
Yeah, and it's the world's first wide foldable at this point in time, because Huawei is always known to be one of the first ones. So the question is that, is this the right way to fold? Because this is one of the questions we asked earlier as well during our discussion on the possibility of the Samsung Wide. And the highest vote is that definitely better for typing and productivity. 58%
it's the
came for that.
productivity thing again.
There you go. The second one is no, too wide for one-handed use. That is quite interesting.
It's also what we talked about.
Yes.
About the standard being tall, right?
And then the third one will be, I prefer the flip style, like the Z Flip or the Pura X. Very good point. And yes, I'm waiting for the Apple Fold. So that is the lowest among all, probably because, there is a huge possibility whether or not that might happen or not. Maybe that's the reason why people are a bit more skeptical. We do have currently, let's just open the link to see the exact number that we have over here. We do have a total of 64 votes, and we do have the comments coming from Fazal Shah. He says that I think foldables are just for flex from the normal format flagship, cost less and gives more.
Flex is a good term.
Yeah, it is. It's because it's like it's pun intended.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to understand what Fazal's trying to say. He said, I think foldable phones are just for flex. The normal phone costs less and gives more. Ah, got it. Okay, so
I
he's
think it's
saying
just
that
comparing,
foldable is just
to show off.
you might as well just go with a normal one. But we need to understand what he means by gives more. Is it because it gives more because it's that typical normal slab form factor?
Gives more, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, but yeah, thank you, Fazal,
Maybe
for your
he
comment.
meant because with foldables there is also compromise
Yeah,
in certain
probably.
things, in
Like-
certain areas.
Yeah.
So like if you compare like an Ultra to a foldable, the Ultra is gonna always come out better because
Got it.
there are no compromises.
Yeah,
Bigger
Yeah.
battery, better
Correct.
cameras probably, but yeah, stuff like that.
very good point. Dark Paladin says that I would prefer a Pura X Mark II. I didn't know there's a Mark II,
There's
but
a Mark
apparently it's slightly larger. I think it's something whereby maybe it's rumored to have. But yeah, I think the Pura X punya form factor is highly accepted from the industry. Xiaomi has its own version.
Yeah.
Samsung has its own version. Huawei has its own version.
I think we're gonna see a lot more coming this year.
Yeah. But
and the next.
I mean, if we are going into, since that is the final vote here, we all talked about a possibility of a rumored Apple Fold. But why do you think, again, I'm just putting it out there, why do you think there's no flip version first instead of the Fold version if Apple were to ever release such of a device?
I think it's a good. Maybe it's a better sell in terms of again the productivity story.
Yeah. Yeah.
A bigger form factor obviously is more conducive for productive
Yeah.
tasks, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
And I feel an iPad Mini kind of form factor that can actually fold into a
You
phone.
know how much I love the iPad Mini, so
Yeah, I feel it's a perfect story and a perfect reason to
Yeah.
come out with a format like that.
very good point. I
Yeah.
love that. Yes, so that is our community tab and the questions that we ask. Again, Vernon will be asking the questions every single Tuesday on our main channel, and then we'll discuss it here on the What the Click channel as well. As for video releases, we have released on the main channel the Nothing Phone 4a Pro review last week. And also the Nothing Headphones A. If you guys haven't checked it out, do be sure to check out on the main channel adamlobo.tv or Adam Lobo TV. But what has already came out when you watch this particular video is our review of the Samsung Galaxy Buds 4 Pro, a very good Android earbuds. Definitely one of the best, if not the best. Be sure to check out that video. The vivo X300 Ultra camera in-depth review is also coming out tomorrow if you guys are watching this on a Saturday. And next week, we'll be also talking about the best phones under 2,000 ringgit. Hopefully, I'll be releasing that. And we have a secret video that might be out. So be sure to stay tuned for that as well. Next week is Labor Day. So since we do a lot of labor every single day, so we decided to kind of decide to take a break and also to let this channel grow organically. So if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, be sure to subscribe as well. And of course, share it for all of your friends and family members who just love to talk about tech, to have that sort of discussion. And like I said, What the Click is a brand new channel. We're starting from scratch. We're very excited because this is our baby in total, and we are
Literally
very
a baby.
Yeah, exactly. So it's growing. Like I said, as of the recording of this video, we're only at 10 subscribers. So hopefully we can grow this to be a separate element to really have that very nice unhinged and also uncensored discussion for all of our tech needs that we have. So with that, we'd like to conclude episode number 53 of What the Click. My name is Adam Lobo.
I'm Vernon. See you in the next one.
Bye-bye.